Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our daily get-together live here on Facebook every morning at 10:30, where we exchange news, headlines, comments, tips, suggestions, ideas, questions on how to have an amazing life here in Puerto Vallarta as an English-speaking community of locals that just want to enjoy the destination and connect with the destination. We provide tips, comments, tools, and ideas so that you can get to know better the new town that you might be living in, or the town that you've been living in for a number of years and you're just, getting curious about. So this is what we do every morning. And today is Monday, November 2nd. I hope you all had a good weekend. I had a fantastic weekend, and I'm really, really happy to start the week with friends that usually join us on a regular basis. But then there are those of you who are coming in for the first time, so I would like to give you a nice welcome. My name is Paco. And if you'd like to let us know that you are new, you can do this by writing your name in the comment, and I'm not your name, by writing the word new, and that way we'll give you a proper welcome. As usual, we take a little bit of time just to see who's here, because we have friends that come by pretty regularly. We see that Emiliano Zapata's in the house. Good morning, William. The Ozarks are here. Good morning, Sherry. We have people from all over the place. Claude is in the house. Good morning. Betsy Ann is also in Emiliano Zapata, rather. Mike is in Chicago. That is a lovely wish. May the warm tongue of freedom lick your inner ear. Give me the warm tongue of freedom's telephone number, Trucha, so that I can make a call and remind the warm tongue of freedom to stop by and lick me. I love it. I love it. Chicago's in the house. Michael is in the house from Portland, our in-house opera singer, of course. And it is great to see all of you here. Today we have important news to share. Of course, it's COVID Monday here at Coffee and Headlines, and we're going to talk about the latest announcements from our governor, Enrique Alfaro. So if you develop some questions or comments, please let us know by writing the letter Q before your question. Jay is in the house. Jay, it was a pleasure meeting you yesterday and having a conversation with you guys. Jay, I happened to meet yesterday for the first time out and about. He is from Boston, and he and his partner are huge fans of it's just going to escape me. I can't believe this television show. Okay, I'm having a pot moment. No, it's not Grace and Frankie. It's the other one. Well, that great show. They're fans of a great show, and they have. He has this great photograph on his profile of when they visited the set and spent time with the actors and so forth and so on. And I can't believe I'm blanking it, because that's the way my mind works. But it's a show that I enjoy very much. I know that Jay is going to contribute it in a minute. Let's see. Take the warm tongue of freedom for Pan. Okay. I'd like to meet this warm tongue of freedom. I could use some of. Oh, thank you, Jay. Will and Grace. Senior moment, pothead moment. I don't know what it is, but we talked about this yesterday. Thank you for the beer. And yes, Ed had a good intuition. as far as that is concerned. So I think we're gathered here. We're going to start, but we're not going to start with Governor Alfaro's comments. We're going to do things a little differently this morning because I had a vision early this morning as I was trying to wake up to get my day started. I imagined myself interviewing the emergency button and saying, "Hey, emergency button, so it's been 3 days. How's it going so far?" And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to interview the emergency button and see what's been going on and how the emergency button feels. Then we're going to look at Enrique Alfaro's comments and statements so far, our governors. And then I'm going to volunteer a point of view that hopefully will help us deal with what's going on. It's just a personal point of view. You can take it or not take it. And if you have any comments about it, by all means, let me know. Yes, we heard that beef dip was officially canceled yesterday. We're going to talk about that. I've had a communication with the organizer, and I will explain beef dip for those that don't know what it is. Eric, you are too kind. Let me buy you a cocktail next time I see you. Anyhow, let's get started with our interview to the emergency button, and let's see how things have been going. So, what's been going on since the emergency button was pushed? Well, according to Vallarta Independiente, we read that this headline that says municipal authorities shut down establishments. We don't know exactly how many. Oh, yes, we do. According to this article, the authorities have been involved in over 1,300 inspections of shops because of the activation of the emergency button. This tells me that, the inspectors have been busy, although this report includes information from the city of Guadalajara. So it is rather difficult to know exactly how many of those inspections have been taking place here in Puerto Vallarta, Mr. Emergency Button. We also hear, of course, that there's been parties in people's homes. I know that for a fact because a dear friend of mine sent me some video of a party that was going on next door, and the video was time-stamped late at night, so it was a party of hopefully only less than 10 people that were allowed to have a party. I don't know how many people were there, but it looked rather boisterous. And of course, we heard about the big circuit party. The big circuit party ended up in Nuevo Vallarta, and it was reported by Tribuna de la Bahía. According to this, up to 600 people went to do the mega Halloween party. There's a dude here in his bathing suit. I love it. And of course, if you know people that know people, we've seen photos of people hanging out at this party and so forth and so on. According to this article, it took place in a party venue. And according to this article, the governor of Nayarit had no idea that this was going on. Neither the mayor of Bahía de Banderas knew what was going on. And parenthetically, when we first mentioned this party, we took a look at the advertising banners that showed up as sponsors of the event. And we have received a communication from 4 local businesses whose banner was included in the poster for this event, and all 4 have denied that they had anything to do with it. My comment to them was, well, I'll be happy to convey that to the viewers of Coffee and Headlines, but ultimately, if you don't have anything to do with it, then it's entirely up to you to remove your sponsor banner from the publicity. And then, of course, Emergency Button tells me that according to Contralinea, there were tourists and locals in our beaches late in the afternoon when they were supposed to be there only until 3. Despite of that, here are some people hanging out on the beach, and it's almost sunset. We also hear from Emergency Button that many taxis are either not respecting the special fares in the state. This particular statement was really interesting to read. Up to 7 of 10 taxi drivers chose not to work instead of offering the special fares because they felt, well, between the gasoline the gas that we're going to spend and the reduced fares, it's not worth it for us to work. So we're not going to work. So taxi cabs have either chosen not to work or they've chosen to hike their fares, and disregard the special arrangement. We've also heard that there's been all kinds of chaos with public transportation because even though the explanations have been very clear, people are either having to wait a long time for the buses to come by, or the buses are not coming by. It's been chaotic. So poor emergency button is not having a good time so far. Now, I wanted to start with this because now I want to show you what we hear from the governor, and then we'll get to your comments and questions. Well, the governor gave us the graph on the right-hand side this week. This is the only chart that we got from the governor this week. Of course, last week we knew that we were pretty close from the trigger for the emergency button, and in this week's chart, we see that we are definitely above the emergency button trigger, 416.1 active cases per million. And hospital occupation is also high when you consider what the government feels should be where we should be. These are the words that Enrique Alfaro shared with the citizens yesterday at 5 o'clock. This is the reality in which we are standing. To go past the 400 in the number of active cases per million inhabitants is the reason why we activated the emergency button. It was a difficult decision, but necessary to diminish cases and to avoid thousands of deaths. I am well aware of the fact that even though activity continues from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m., there have been affectations, and that many people, affectations, that's not the word you use in English, there have been setbacks or problems, and that many people are facing difficult circumstances, but there are countries that have had to close everything, and that is what we're trying to avoid. To not making decisions and acting only thinking in polls or the next elections has already cost. This simultaneous translation is challenging. Has already cost thousands of lives in Mexico. I will never allow this to happen in Jalisco. I am well aware of my responsibility and I am not going to fail. To govern is to make decisions thinking on the common good, not on the easy applause, and I have a very clear priority in mind: to look after the health and well-being of the people. This is what I've done, and this is what we will continue to do until we're able to overcome this emergency, the sanitary emergency. But no government can do this on their own. Let us all do what is our share to do to avoid more challenging scenarios in the future. Jalisco needs you. Let us not leave our luck to be random. We know how to take care of ourselves, and we know how to take care of each other and those that we love the most. It is worthwhile to do the right thing and to do it together. So this is the big weekly announcement that we always get from Governor Alfaro. But there's another one that he made later on in the day. No, actually, he did it earlier yesterday, but I wanted to show this one as well because it has everything to do with what I'm going to volunteer for you to consider. Earlier today, Governor Alfaro showed us this series of photographs of some major streets in the city of Guadalajara being completely empty yesterday. It was a Sunday. And Governor Alfaro said, this is how our streets look. The vast majority, check it out, the vast majority of Jaliscienses, that is the residents, the citizens of Jalisco, the vast majority of Jaliscienses are making a difference. As long as we're taking care of our state, as long as we continue to work together, looking after our lives and the lives of others around us, we will be able to prevail. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to those that are doing their share. And that is what is going on. So we have a button that may or may not be working. We have a governor that thinks that the majority of people are doing the right thing. On the other hand, we have ourselves. We are looking at what's going on around us. Sometimes when we look at, the fact that the neighbor is having a party, of course, it's easy for us to think that, everything's going to be of no use. When people share photos taken from a balcony near the beach clubs where there are people that are not supposed to be there, of course, it's easy to get to that feeling of, is this even worth it? Well, here's my take on this. And again, it's my very personal take. You're welcome to use it or reflect on it or not. The virus is not going anywhere. I mean, this is going to happen again and again and again until the virus is eradicated or we have a vaccine. Now, what I mean by this is going to happen again and again and again is that every now and then, if you think of the virus, the number of cases, it going over the edge of the container that it has, every now and then, I think the government is going to have to come up with some kind of emergency button maneuver just to bring the cases down. And let us remember two very important things. Number one, nobody has a clear idea of how to go about this. All countries, all their specialists are trying the best to make the best of the situation. And number two, there are people, the medical personnel, that also need a break. They've been working nonstop. They've been dying while they take care of us. So the other day, somebody posted something privately, including the nice gentleman that has been banned from Coffee and Headlines. He was telling me, you cannot possibly tell me there's a good reason why this is happening. And in fact, there is. While these measures are not going to take away COVID, these measures are helping things to lower a little bit. So ultimately, regardless of the big parties, regardless of everything, regardless of the fact that the governor seems to think that all Jaliscienses are really doing our job, the only thing that will give us any clear indication of what is going to happen in the future is going to be a change in this number. And we're not going to see a change in this number for maybe 2 or 3 weeks because that is the nature of the virus. So if the government is right and we're doing the right thing, these numbers will show it. Or these numbers should show it. Now, if the numbers don't show it in 2 or 3 weeks, what will happen is that the government will realize, okay, so we were wrong. We thought that the population was a little bit more trustworthy, so we're going to have to come up with harsher measures. And that's the way I see it. There is no perfect button. There is no perfect alternative. Every country is having a different approach on how to do things. So yes, I am struggling with the fact that I see parties around me. Yes, I struggle with the fact that many of you kindly send me photos and reports and this and that and the other, and I take everything into account. But I'm choosing to try to stay as calm and serene as possible until we see the numbers. Because it's not until we see the numbers that we will see if this exercise was worthwhile. Now, how wonderful it would be if all of a sudden the numbers gave us an amazing surprise. Like the weather report today is going to give us an amazing surprise. I'll get to that when we get to the report. If in 2 weeks we see that the numbers worked, well, maybe the big super spreader circuit parties may not seem as atrocious. And having to put up with the neighbor's Halloween parties will not seem as horrible as when the next door neighbor brings out his banda group and they decide to rehearse at 3 o'clock in the morning, which, for better or worse, we all learn to get used to because this is where we live. So that's the end of my 2 cents about what's going on. I hope this mindset or this perspective is helpful for some. And I'm done with that part, the end. Let me take a quick look at your comments and suggestions. And when we do that, we're going to move on to other news and some good news. Actually, we have fun news today. So very quickly, let me see what we have. I completely agree with you, Clay, and again, I completely agree with you. But if the numbers show me that otherwise, I'm still going to be disappointed that this happened, and I'm still going to make decisions as to which projects, which businesses, which people I'm going to feel comfortable associating with in the future. Again, it is time for everybody to um, to pick their tribe. Heidi asks, where are the police on the beach? They are nowhere, Heidi, because the government said we are not going to be policing you. We are counting on you being responsible citizens. And that is the strategy that the government is taking this time around. Again, what I was saying before, if the numbers don't look good, the government might say, oh, duh, we fucked up. We thought that the people could understand what they were supposed to do, but clearly we need to enforce a little tougher. So it's just a first step. La 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 la. Did I hear you wrong about Walmart? They were supposed to be closed. They were open on the weekend. Well, I thought they were going to be closed. And if I reported that and it turned out to be the other way, I apologize. My understanding of the news is that large supermarkets would be closed over the weekend. I myself wanted to go to Costco yesterday, and then I felt, well, were they supposed to close or were they supposed to open? So if they were open and I reported they would be closed, I sincerely apologize. Trying to follow all the guidelines is not any easier for me or for us just because we speak Spanish. Trust me, it is just as complicated. Let's see. Da 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 da. Another question. What happens if your numbers are still high after the 14-day shutdown runs out? That is a great question. I don't know that I have a specific answer, Randall, but what I think what will happen is that the government is going to say, okay, so this was a bad idea or this was not a good enough idea, and they'll have to come up with something else. And that is a thought-provoking idea on its own, because if that means that the government will take harsher measures to close down the economy, then of course there will be some suffering for some people. I mean, there are a lot of people that have not had a job for a long time, and we have to remember it's a delicate balance between being healthy and being prosperous in any economy. This is not just Puerto Vallarta. Let's see. Da 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 da. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say, Ricky, but I never trust my translating machine this early in the morning, although I must say that ever since I started doing coffee and headlines, my vocabulary seems to be increasing, and that makes me very happy. Da 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 da. Let's see. Sally, let me invite something for consideration. I actually don't think Governor Alfaro could possibly extend any kind of closure for the rest of 2020. I actually think it's impossible. I mean, the rest of the year, the month and a half that we have left, is a month of enormous economic prosperity. So I think it would be very, very difficult for the government to extend this. In January, maybe. Right now, I'm not so sure. And Sylvie is nails it. And this is what we've been talking about. The only thing we can do is take care of ourselves And I love your metaphor of staying in our own lane. Absolutely. I mean, this has always been the case in my view, and certainly I hope the view of some of you. It has to start with the decisions that we make for ourselves, and not to wait for the government to tell us what to do or what not to do when we know darn well we shouldn't be doing it in the first place. Um, let's see. Let's see. Um, I don't know what to tell you there. Again, it is what it is, and the numbers may show it. The numbers may not show it. In my mind, the numbers are already showing it, because there's a lot of young people out there not doing the right thing, and I think that the reason why we're having a lot more cases, and the statistics have shown it, John. Jr. The highest number of cases, well, not the highest. I don't want to say that because then you'll quote me. There is an increase in active cases in the younger population. That's what I'm trying to say. La 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 la. Large stores are only closed on weekends in Guadalajara and other parts of Jalisco. Thank you very much for that, Pilar. So much for not going to restock my wine supply at Costco yesterday. I'll go today. Let's say. Let's say. Pam, 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 pam. I'm not entirely following this thread because I'm not reading your threads in order, but just keep it nice, my dear friends. Let me do the dirty work if dirty work needs to be done. Keep it nice. Oh, look who's here! Dr. Bartolo is with us. Remember the wonderful Dr. Bartolo who told us about what's going on at Isla Rio Cuale? I have to tell you, hola, buenos días, Bart. Qué gusto me da verte. I have to tell you that Dr. Bartolo and I are still waiting to find the opportunity to get together and have lunch and talk about other ways in which we can keep this community informed about what's going on at the Cuale and other projects. I am so very glad to see you here, Bartolo. Te mando un abrazo. Brad asks, why didn't I pick up a Boston accent? I think I had it for a while, but then all the pot smoking and drinking got rid of it. I really do think I had it for a while. Cas. Let's see. Sadly, you're correct. So much about me and screw everyone. Okay, I think I'm caught up with some of your comments. And let me just move on with other bits of news that I think are important to share. Let's see. Bam. Here we go. I want to let you know that there continue to be reports of condo owners that are protesting for lack of accesses to the beach. As I mentioned a few days ago, or maybe a couple of weeks ago, this is something that is going to continue to happen. This particular protest took place at a place called Los Flamingos, Vallarta. Over 20 property owners protested in a peaceful way, saying we want access to the beach. We were promised access to the beach when we bought our property, and then it was removed by the big building. So this is happening. This will continue to happen. My last formal or serious piece of news that I want to share with you is, as you know, we try to keep things as apolitical as possible, particularly when it involves politics in other places, not here in Mexico. And but it would be difficult to not realize that tomorrow is an important day in the United States. In the past, we've often referred to Vox, the website, as a credible source of easy to understand news. And I wanted to let you know that Vox, the website, has set up this 2020 presidential election live blog where they're going to be commenting on real time. So I just think this might be a useful source of information for some of you. I will certainly follow it myself. And I'll leave it at that. I mean, between today and tomorrow, a lot of things are going to happen up north. We send good vibes to everybody that is keeping an eye on the U.S. elections. Let us move on to the weather, because the weather is turning. Let us start with the big news The weather, it may be 29 degrees and it may be um, 84 degrees Fahrenheit, and we may have zero chance of rain. But the good news, my friends, is that humidity is down to 44%. For the first time since the summer arrived, we are under 50% humidity. I am holding back my enthusiasm until tomorrow. If tomorrow we are again under 50% humidity, I will think that we have officially turned and the fall weather will have begun. Let us hope that is the case. Between now and tomorrow, we keep our fingers crossed. And of course, today, today we learned that it's going to be humid throughout the day, but who cares? It's only 44% humidity. And tomorrow it'll be the same thing, humid through the day with a high of 32. And Wednesday it's going to be clear throughout the day with a high of 32. Does that mean that the weather has turned? Let us hope that is the case. Moving right along, I have other news to share, starting with the fact that some of you reported that you couldn't get into the website for the Lila Downs concert. I'm happy to report that I found a link on Facebook where you can still enjoy it. I'm going to share that on the show notes at the end of the show today. I also want to report that we learned from Gay PB that Beef Dip, the annual bear and leather event that takes place every January, has been canceled for 2021. This must have been a difficult decision for the organizers because, for those of you that don't know, Beef Dip is an event for bears. Gay bears are a tribe within the gay community. For those of you that don't know, there's no stereotypical mindset or appearance or anything, but bears tend to be, well, berry. So there's this event, this weekly, this 1 week event that happens every year. And it is a very popular event. It is quite funny if you're wandering around Emiliano Zapata during that weekend. You see all these burly guys with their beards and walking around, and it's a lot of fun. And it's a great event because a lot of people come to Vallarta for it, so it creates a lot of economic income for the city. And the organizers do a lot of things for local nonprofits, particularly AIDS-related and HIV-related local nonprofits. So it must have been difficult decisions for them to make. But I personally took a second to write to the organizer, Steve Butchek, and then I wrote him, this must have been a difficult decision, but I commend you on being on the prudent side. And I think a lot of people will appreciate that in the long run. I also wanted to report that this well-known restaurant in front of the Iglesia de Santa Cruz in Colonia Emiliano Zapata apparently is becoming a gay bar now. And of course, the parishioners of the church across the street are unhappy about this. They're gathering notes and letters and signatures to prevent a gay bar to open up across the street from the church. Depending on where your views stand, this makes sense or it doesn't make sense. I'm just reporting the news. I also wanted to let you know, this is wonderful. And keep this in mind. Whenever a new business in Puerto Vallarta opens and we hear about it because they let us know about it, we are always so very happy here at Coffee and Headlines to give somebody a little bit of a promotional push for new businesses. Such was the case yesterday. I got contacted by this new hostel and vegan restaurant in town that is opening, and they were like, how can we come up to some kind of agreement that you will mention us? And I said to them, there's no agreement to be made. You guys are new in Puerto Vallarta. You just open your door and we welcome you with open arms, and we hope that you do well in your business. What is this? Well, it's a Japanese chain that is opening for the first time in Puerto Vallarta. It's called 10 to 10. And I'm going to show you quickly through the website because it looks super, super cool. It's right around the corner from the Guadalupe Church, right around the corner from the main plaza. And it is a place that has a vegan ramen restaurant on the lower level, and then it has affordable basic rooms for you to stay at. And they have double rooms and twin rooms and family mixed dormitory rooms. A common space. You cannot cook in the rooms apparently, but there's a shared kitchen. So this looks like a lot of fun. It's very well put together. And they also have, oh my God, I was not supposed to show you that yet. They also have a website where you can, I mean, a Facebook page where you can like it and tell them how you feel and so forth and so on. Of course, I got together with a local, well, I didn't get together with her, but I got in touch with Candace, who's our local vegan ambassador. And I said to Candace, have you heard more about this? So we decided we might try to show up at some point during the week and check it out. So we wish 10 to 10 a great welcome to the city. We hope that they're successful. And of course, it's a new budget option for people that are looking for to stay, for a place to stay here in Puerto Vallarta. Good luck to them. Let me actually show you just before we leave and we take a look at your final comments that Vallarta for Versalles for Foodies, this project that we're doing to thank all of you supporting members of Coffee and Headlines is almost ready. We announced that we would make this available for you to enjoy this afternoon. So everybody or anybody that has been a supporter of Coffee and Headlines by buying us a coffee or by sponsoring us through an ongoing membership is going to receive a link to this interactive map that shows 20-something essential restaurants and eateries that you absolutely have to try here in Versalles. This is our way to say thank you to all of you that have chosen to support Coffee and Headlines, because without you, Coffee and Headlines would not exist. And we will continue to make these thank you gestures available to supporting members on a monthly basis. So Versalles for Foodies will be exclusive to supporting members for the next 3 months. After 3 months, we will release it to the general public. But by then, we will have come up with other wonderful ways to say thank you for supporting us. Let me take a quick look at your final comments before we go on with our wonderful, less humid day. Let's see. I saw a queue. Hold on. I saw a queue. I'm so happy that you're happy, Bartolo. Qué gusto me da verte por acá. Es un honor. It is a pleasure to see you here. Tony asks, is there any update on the unexplained construction near Los Arcos? Actually, Dr. Bartolo might hopefully have some insight into this. We haven't seen anything else published. I don't know exactly what has happened or what will happen, but it is one of the topics that I hope I'll be able to share with Dr. Bartolo when we get together. This is a very nice wish, Michal. I feel exactly the same way. It's going to be an interesting, powerful, difficult time, but we're there. We're very much there. Yay, Lynn, thank you very much for chiming in. This is low humidity. We can go out walking. This is wonderful. I'm sorry to hear that the concert last night froze. Again, the whole video is available on YouTube, on Facebook. So I imagine it will be easier to watch, and I'll be sharing that link with you today. Santiago wants to see a gay bar across the street from the church. Power to you. We'll see how that unfolds. You know, it's difficult looking at it from both sides. Both sides might just feel, well, we'll see what happens. I totally relate to what Alphonse says. ¿Cómo estás, Alphonse? Other big events should follow the lead from the beef dip and cancel. Well, it boils down to how you want to be remembered, I think. I really do think that. Maybe the parishioners should take heed to the Pope's recent comments regarding the LGBT community's place in society. That is a very interesting point, Logan. And it goes to say, it says a lot about how much people pay attention to what's going on around the world. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a good idea or a bad idea to have a gay bar in front of a church. All I'm going to say is I wonder if these parishioners that seem to be very traditional have heard some of the latest statements that the Pope has said. Absolutely. Um, How far by taxi is it to get from Versailles, from downtown Central? Oh, it takes about 15 minutes tops. Sherry, it's not that far at all. I do that on a regular basis. So it is actually very easy, very easy to do that. Let's see. Oh, thank you. Thank you for that, Pilar. I saw a photograph of a very beautiful ofrenda that was put together for the late Maria O'Connor, a good friend for many of us here in the English speaking community. Um, the ofrenda or the altar for Maria is located at the shop front of Christopher Wynn's beautiful home decor shop on Calle Pulpito, right next to Garbo. If anybody is in that neighborhood, you may want to go and take a look at it. Um, Sylvie says, Paco, I don't see where we can buy you a coffee link on your site. Well, the good news is that the coffee link is everywhere. It is on the website on every single page. It is at the end of every broadcast whenever I show these, and I'm putting them on because we're about to leave. And it is also in the show notes every single day. Buymeacoffee.com/Ojeda Paco. That is the link. And I'm happy to share it again and again, although sometimes I feel like I'm pushing it too much. But there it is in case you want to have it. Uh, let's see what else. Let's see what else. This is interesting. We never bat an eye when a church is open near a gay bar, so why the opposite? Well, it's a cultural thing, Santiago. I wonder if you have lived in Mexico for a long time or not. If you have not, know that Mexico is a very traditional, very religious country. So if you have been here, then I don't think this will come as a surprise. But if you have been living in other countries, then I can totally see where your question would be coming from. Deborah asks, with the cases of COVID going up everywhere in the world, what is the opinion of people from Mexico in regards to visitors? I know it is their bread and butter having tourists, but do they feel it's worth the risk right now? Should we all just stay home? Well, I may feel a little chubby, but I'm certainly not powerful enough to speak for the people from Mexico as a whole. Um, Mexico is well aware of the fact, as a country, that we make a lot of income from tourism. Mexico has refused to date to set harsh, oh my God, I'm having another moment. When you get confined. One of those things that you have to do when you go to Canada for 2 weeks. Quarantine. Mexico has decided not to ask people to self-quarantine. Mexico has decided not to ask people, not to make face masks obligatory. But again, this is Mexico's stance as a country. Mexico is learning about what's going on as much as every other country. And if things continue to deteriorate, Mexico may have to be in a position to make harsher decisions as to how we welcome people from other places. Between now and then, we'll have to see what happens. And that's as good as an answer I can offer you at this point, Deborah, but thank you very much for sharing it with us. Let's see. Bars and our nighttime businesses, churches are usually in the morning. Oh, not in Mexico. We have church all day long. There are masses in the mornings, there are masses in the afternoon, there are masses in the evenings. Deborah says she's from Canada. Yay, Canada. Anyhow, we are at the end of our questions today. We're at the end of the program. The important links are already on the screen. Again, the reminder is like this. Coffee and Headlines is supported by you, by our members. Coffee and Headlines is not supported by advertisers because we don't want advertisers to tell us what to tell you. I don't want an advertiser to come tell me that I have to tell you that his restaurant or her jewelry shop or his art gallery is the best there is in the city. Unfortunately, a lot of advertisers work that way with other publications, but we don't want this. We don't want this at Coffee and Headlines. Here, we want to have the most possible direct connection between you and us, Luna and I, and the destination. That is why we are a community sponsored project. So, if you had a good time, if you learned something, if you felt supported in this difficult time, if you're inspired to go explore something new, or if I happen to make you laugh, consider supporting this project. We will continue to develop ways to thank you, such as the Versailles for Foodies project, on an ongoing basis. And if you decide you can't or you don't want to support Coffee and Headlines financially, that's perfectly fine as well. But we would thank you very much if you mention it to your friends, or if you hear of a business or a something mentioned here, you tell them that you heard it from Paco's Coffee and Headlines. That helps the project a lot. It is the end of our show, so I thank you very much for keeping us company. Please stay kind, stay patient, stay open-minded, and stay in touch. And if all goes well, I'll see you tomorrow. U.S. election, we're thinking of you guys, and may it all be over and peaceful and good for you. Have a great day.